Hello and welcome back to our beginner Python course. In today's lesson, we will take a deep dive into the world of lists in Python. Lists are among the most versatile and commonly used data structures in Python. In computer programming, a data structure is an efficient way of organizing and storing information in computer memory. And using lists is a powerful way to store and manipulate collections of items, whether they are numbers, strings, or a combination of both. Let's begin. Open your Python code editor and code along with me. I am using PyCharm, but you can use any Python code editor of your choosing. Let's create a new Python file called list.py. Now, let's create our first list. So we'll write a comment and we'll type and list equals. So what is a list in Python? Think of a list as a special kind of variable that can store multiple values at once, unlike regular variables which only store a single value. To create a list, you need to first create a variable like this to store the list, and enclose a sequence of elements within square brackets, and then separate each element with a comma. Now, let's print our list. So we'll type print my list. Let's run the program, and we see our list nicely printed. In Python, lists are mutable, meaning you can modify their elements after creation. So let's edit our list and change the items to purple, orange. Unlike other data structures, lists in Python can be edited after creation. It is also important to note that when entering a string as a list item, you need to enclose it in double quotes like this. Let's run our program again, and we see the new list. Excellent. The next concept to understand about lists is how to access individual elements. In Python, each element in a list is assigned an index number, and this process is known as indexing. The first element has an index of 0, the second element has an index of 1, the third element has an index of 2, and so forth. And each element can be accessed using its corresponding index number. This concept is powerful in Python, and understanding it will give you a firm foundation for working with any collection of items, like lists, arrays, and other iterable data structures in Python. To access the first element of our list, we'll use an index of 0. Let me write a comment and write my lists index 0. Now let's print it using the print command. So we'll type print around it. Let's run our program, and we see the first item printed. Notice how I targeted the index. Now let's change it to the second element by using index 1. Let's run the program again, and now the second element is printed. Let's change the index again to 3. Run the program once more, and now we have the fourth element. This is because in indexing, counting begins from 0, and index 3 corresponds to the fourth element. You get the idea. Next, it is important to understand that in Python, a list can contain a combination of integers, strings, floats, and other data types. For example, let's modify our list to. Now, our list contains integers, floats, and strings all in one list. When we run the program again, it still works, and the fourth element is now orange. Beautiful. Now, let's find the last element in our list. First, let's count the elements. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The last element is the 7th one. So guess what the index number will be? If you said 6, then you are correct. Since we start counting from 0, the index of the 7th element is 6. This means that You can target the last element by finding the total number of elements, which is 7, and subtract 1 from it. Alternatively, Python allows you to simply use an index of -1 to directly access the last element of any list. Let's see it in action. Let's change the index to -1. Run the program, and it prints the last element in the list. You can also use an index of -2 to access the second to last element, and so on. Let's change the index to -2, run the program again, and now we have banana. We can also use the index method in Python to find the index number of an element. For example, let's write my list.index, and let's find the index number of pineapple. Now let's add a comment, and let's print the result with a print function. So we'll write print around it. Let's run the program, and as we already know, the index of pineapple is 6. Excellent. Now, let's find out how many elements are in our list using the len function. To do this, we'll write len list. The len function counts the number of elements in the list. Let's add a comment and print the result directly using the print function. Alternatively, we can store the length in another variable like this, length equals the len function, and then print the value stored in the variable. So print length. Let's run our program, and we can see that we have 7 elements in our list. Now, let's check if a specific element is in the list. Suppose we want to check if the number 2 is in our list. We can use the in keyword in Python for this purpose. So we'll write, let's start with a comment, and we'll write if 2 in my list, colon, enter. Print 2 is in the list, else print 2 is not in the list. This code checks whether the number 2 is present in our list using the in keyword. If it is in the list, it prints 2 is in the list. Otherwise, it prints 2 is not in the list. Let's run the program, and 2 is in the list. Again, it is important to note that when checking for a string, you need to enclose it in double quotes. Let's try another example. So we'll change the integer 2 to mango. If mango is in the list, print mango is in the list. Otherwise, print mango is not in the list. Notice how we wrapped mango in double quotes. Let's run the program, and mango is not in the list. To conclude this lesson, let's introduce the concept of slicing a list. Slicing a list in Python simply means extracting a portion of an existing list to create a new list. Let's see how it works. Let's click here and write a comment. So we'll create our first slice. We'll say my list 0:3. This is a slice of my list. It begins from index 0 and ends at index 3. However, when it comes to slicing, Python does not include the last index. So the slice will end at index 2. This is a basic rule about slicing in Python. Let's print it and see the result. So we'll type print, open parenthesis, and close parenthesis. Let's run the program. And here we see that the slice ended at index 2. This is index 0, index 1, index 2. Let's perform other interesting slices. Alright, as we've already seen, this slice will begin from index 0 and end at index 2. The next slice here will include all elements in the list. That means it begins from index 0 to the very end of the list. The next slice will begin from index 1 to the end of the list, which means it will skip index 0, start from index 1, and run through to the end of the list. The next slice here will print a reverse order of the elements in the list. So it will rearrange the list in a reverse order. The next slice is very interesting. This slice will include every second element in the list. And last but not the least, we have an interesting slice here. This slice will include elements from index 2, run through to index 6 with a step of 2. Remember, index 7 is exclusive, which means index 7 will not be included. And it will run with a step of 2. Let's run our program. And now we have all our slices nicely printed. This slice started from index 0 and ran through index 2. This slice included all the elements in the list. This slice started from index 1 and ran all the way to the end. And this slice reversed the order of the list. The next slice here is the interesting one. It included every second element in the list, which means it started from index 0, skipped index 1, printed index 2, skipped index 3 and printed index 4, skipped index 5 and printed index 6. And our last slice here also started from index 2, ran through to index 6 with a step of 2, which means it printed index 2, skipped index 3, printed index 4, skipped index 5 and printed index 6. Slicing is a powerful feature in Python that allows you to extract any portion of a list efficiently. In this lesson, we've covered introduction to lists, how to create a list, accessing individual list elements, using -1 to access the last element, using the index method to find the index of an element, finding the length or the number of elements, searching for a value in a list, and slicing a list. It's been great reaching this far in our learning journey together. Remember, coding is like learning a language, and it gets easier with practice and patience. In future lessons, we will explore more advanced features in working with lists in Python. If you encountered any errors, don't hesitate to share them in the comment section below. I'm here to assist you every step of the way. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something new. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more coding videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.